speaking of respecting authority and authority figures giving you reason to not respect them.
Yep.
What do you think about this Ukraine package that good old Republican Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, worked with the Democrats on to get passed with zero, what's the word I'm looking for? Zero consideration for our, us as a country and securing our border. And,
yeah,
this is personally, I'm against sending any money to Ukraine anymore. Nothing, no more. The only thing that if I was in charge, the only thing we would be doing is facilitating an end to it, negotiations, diplomacy. That is the only thing we would be doing.
Yep.
But if you are going, I understand that politics is politics and you have to play the game somewhat. But he's not playing the game. He's getting led around on a fucking leash like a little puppy, like a little pathetic puppy. And what really chaps my ass about it is Trump and his rubber stamping of Mike Johnson and always co-signing everything he says. And it's irritating, man, because I want... so there's a big libertarian thing on the internet. And I was like this, particularly in the Mitt Romney, Obama election. It's like both sides are just as bad as the other. And particularly back then, that was the truth. Yep. I mean, not much difference between Romney and Obama. But I would say there's a little bit more difference between Trump and Biden,
Yeah.
But Trump is making me think that it's all just superficial with this shit, Now, I do try to give him the benefit of the doubt, thinking that, like I said, you have to play the game a little bit. And once he comes into power, maybe he'll just shut the shit down, But it does irritate me, man. I'm still voting for Trump because what the fuck is the other option? I'm not voting for Biden. Nope. I'm going to vote for Michael Rechtenwald in the Libertarian Party. No.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not fucking voting for that guy. I might as well not vote. I would rather not vote. But I'm going to vote for Trump because it's the best option. Even if it's a shitty option, it's the best option.
Yeah.
But what do you think about all that?
What are the details? I seem to remember were they including funding for Ukraine and Israel in the bill? Is that what it was?
I think so, but I don't. All I saw was Ukraine. I didn't really look into it.
So one thing I heard, and it might have been recently on. What's his face's podcast? Russell Brand. I like listening to that from time to time. He said that in the early phases of the war, I don't know when, but there was a deal on the table between Russia and Ukraine to end all of this, and the United States. I don't know the details. I feel like I'm talking,
kind of like bullied Ukraine into not doing it.
Yeah.
Pressured them.
They basically, we'll support you. So we shifted
peer pressure,
what their opinion would have been without our influence.
Yeah, we got a ton more Ukrainian people killed. It's like the whole thing is pathetic, man. But I'm sorry, I spoke on it for a while.
No,
so
you
go for it.
Well, I agree. I think that the ultimate goal should be to put an end to this. And if there was an opportunity to put an end to it early on, and we were instrumental in that not happening, I just don't understand. It makes me immediately puts me in the frame of mind of a conspiracy theorist, and I say that begrudgingly because it's not a conspiracy really. That the military-industrial complex had a lot of interest in it continuing, and a lot of money was on the table. And I don't know whether that was the only reason for it, but it's hard to imagine that wasn't a prime reason for, our influence to continue this damn thing.
Yeah.
And continuing to fund it, especially with inflation the way it is in this country, it's inexcusable.
Yeah, man. I think that's a big part of it, lining the pockets of people. I think it's like a big money laundering event, to trickle money to, regime stooges and the higher ups, the people who are really calling the shots. But I think part of it is also ideological. Yeah. I think the democratic, the social democratic West, of these democracies, these social democracies, and all of the liberal garbage that comes with that, have a vested interest in destroying like the last vestiges of that kind of more traditional culture, which Russia is like a bastion of that.
Yeah, that's interesting. It took me a while to come around to understanding that better. Like when you first started talking about when this conflict first started happening, we were talking more about Russia. Like I just realized how well the propaganda works, because I resist things and I don't even really understand why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I resisted this idea that Russia was just defending itself, or that there was some legitimate reason for this. And when we started talking about this, it was like, nobody else is saying that. So my instinct is to say, it's wrong without ever questioning it. It's effective. The propaganda is effective,
super effective. And I've hinted at this a lot over the years of us doing this podcast, but what you're talking about with us in Ukraine and Russia right now, you can apply that to other scenarios back in history that are like very propagandized for you to think one side was bad and the other side was good.
100%.
And then you look at the good side and you're like, those people were monsters.
Yeah.
Terrible, terrible monsters. And they did things that were as bad, if not worse, than the side that you're supposed to hate.
And then I hear that, and then I think of the way that the left is maligning the founding fathers.
Mm-hmm.
It's propaganda, just the same way it was propaganda for me to be raised to believe they were like heroes.
Yeah.
And now young kids are being raised to think that they were moral villains and racists.
Yeah. What's interesting about that is I think that the propaganda that says that the founding fathers are terrible and the propaganda that says that the founding fathers were heroes is kind of servicing the same end. It's like back then when we were saying they were heroes, it was facilitating a liberalization of culture, away from monarchy, away from, more typical hierarchical structure.
Yep.
And now that we've like completely bought into that, we need to extremize, make the propaganda more extreme into being like, no, they weren't even heroes. They were terrible. We need to be even more, we need to have, transitioning clinics, gender transition clinics on every corner, just like destroy all traditional thought,
So I have an interesting idea for a reality show.
Yeah.
I don't know.